So now we've talked about consumer surplus. The next step is to discuss producer surplus. So consumer surplus is the benefit to the consumers. And so producer surplus is the benefit to the producers, right? The benefit to the sellers. It's the difference between what they were willing to sell for and what they actually sold for. Now, if you remember when we talked back to willing to sell, supply, and all that, we said that supply was derived from the marginal cost, which is the willingness to sell. And so basically, the marginal cost is the cost of each unit. Not on average, but the cost of the first unit, the cost of the second, the third, so forth, so forth. So how do we calculate it? The producer surplus, difference between what they were willing to sell for, right, the supply, and what they did sell for, the price. Again, up to that quantity sold. And so if we go over here, so this is again the example from the first one. So we have one individual supplier's supply curve. All right, here's what they were willing to supply. These are a little bit off, but what they were willing to sell for, which is supply, and what they did sell for. So, example for the first one. All right, so we're saying the price is $5 here. All right, so we have our price here. And so, again, these are a little bit off here, but so for the first unit, they were willing to sell for $2, which was the cost of the first unit. They did sell for $5, and so the producer surplus is $3. They received $3 more for it than they were willing to sell it for, so that's a bonus. Now, the question may come up, is this profit? Yes and no. So the producer surplus is the profit on the units produced. So if the marginal cost, which is the cost of the first unit, is $2 and they sold it for $5, they're making $3 profit on that first by producing that first unit. Now there are other costs that are involved in there, fixed costs which we haven't discussed, but it's similar. It's a part of it. All right. So when we look at that, so we have the first one. It's willing to sell for $2, sold for $5, and so this is the consumer surplus on the first unit. What about the second? So for the second, was willing to sell for $3, sold for $5, so sold for $2 more than was willing to. All right, so the producer surplus of the second is $2, which is here. The third was willing to pay $4, did pay $5. Consumer surplus on the third is $1. And this is a little bit off here, but get the point. Here, let me fix this up here. There we go. I can mess with it. So this is the consumer surplus of the third. Now for the fourth, was willing to pay $5, or was willing to sell for $5, did sell for $5, no surplus there. Now the fifth was willing to sell for as low as $6, but the price is $5, not going to sell that one. So what we get then is the total producer surplus for this one individual is going to be $3 for the first, $2 for the second, $1 for the third, $0 for the fourth, $6 total dollars, which is the amount in these areas here. These are the amounts above what they were willing to sell for. So for example, in selling the first, second, and third, in total they were willing to sell it for $14. Right? They actually sold it for $20. So they sold them for $6 more than they're willing to. Right? Benefit to the producer. So let's look at an example in the market here. And let's say that the market, the price is $8. Okay. So at $8, if you plug that into the supply equation, you find that the quantity supplied is 4 units. And so again, we have this here. And so the producer surplus, the difference between what they were willing to sell for, the price, and what they did sell, or back up, what they were willing to sell for, the supply, and what they did sell for, the price. The area above supply, below the price, up to the quantity sold. And so if we look at this here, I had it right the first time. There it is. So if we look here, this area in here is going to be our producer surplus. So it's going to be our producer surplus in there. So again, we have a triangle. Area of triangle, 1/2, base times the height. Our base, it goes from 0, quantity of 0 to 4. Our height goes from 0 up to 8. 4 times 8 is 32, times 1/2. Our producer surplus here is $16. Okay, and this is in the entire market. So that's our producer surplus. Again, the benefit to the producers, the ones who sell the goods. And again, it's the difference between what they were willing to sell for, the supply, which is the marginal cost, and what they did sell for, the price.